The most hateful man that ever lived. Pope Stephen VII versus Pope Formosus. History is full of villains, kings who murdered, generals who conquered, dictators who ruled with cruelty. But one man's hatred was so extreme that he put a corpse on trial. This is the shocking story of Pope Stephen VII. The man remembered as one of the most hateful leaders the world has ever seen. In the late 9th century, Rome was a city drowning in corruption, chaos, and power struggles. The papacy wasn't just about religion. It was politics, money, and survival. Rival factions fought for control of the throne of St. Peter, and one pope's reign could easily end in blood. One was Formosus. He had powerful enemies, but he also left behind supporters who saw him as a reformer. Unfortunately, Formosus made one very powerful rival: his eventual successor, Pope Stephen VII. Took 896, his hatred for Formosus burned so deep that death itself couldn't stop him. 9 months after Pope Formosus was dead, Stephen ordered his corpse dug up. What followed became known as the Cadaver Synod, one of the most grotesque trials in history. Formosus's rotting body was dressed in papal robes, seated on a throne, and placed in front of a church council. Pope Stephen himself acted as prosecutor, screaming accusations at the corpse. A deacon was forced to answer for the dead pope, while Stephen raged, accusing Formosus of corruption, perjury, and seizing power unlawfully. The outcome was never in doubt. The corpse was found guilty. His papacy was annulled, his acts erased, and his body desecrated. First stripped of his robes, then his 3 blessing fingers cut off. Finally, he was thrown into the Tiber River. This act shocked even Rome, a city used to blood and betrayal. To put a dead man on trial, to desecrate his remains. This was hatred unlike anything the papacy had ever seen. The people turned against Stephen. Riots broke out, enemies gathered strength, and within a year, Stephen himself was imprisoned and strangled to death. His reign lasted barely a year, but his legacy of hate has lasted for centuries. Pope Stephen VII is remembered not for his leadership, not for his faith, but for his hatred, a hatred so deep, so consuming that it drove him to wage war against a corpse. In the end, history asks us this: when hatred lives longer than reason, who truly wins? The Cadaver Synod, one of the darkest moments in papal history.